everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. I am out early this morning. It just turned 7 o'clock. I got out here a little bit ago and I'm out here early in my mid-Missouri Zone 6 garden because it is going to be another scorcher today. I don't know about you all, but I garden in the Midwest, and the last couple of weeks we've been in the 90s and we have extremely high humidity where I live. So my gardening usually takes place early in the morning. I spend most mornings, get up, have a cup of coffee, think about what I need to get accomplished, and then I head outside before it's terribly hot and get in 2 or 3 hours of good gardening, and then I am done well before lunchtime for the rest of the day. So that is the project for today, is to get out here, and I'm going to take you along with me into the raised bed garden so we can unearth some of the crops that need harvesting. Before I share with you what it is that I have on my to-do list today in terms of what I want to harvest, I'm going to ask everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to grow my channel and so that you will know when I've posted new content. So the projects for today is to harvest some things that are telling me they need to be harvested. These are all crops that grow underground, and the beauty of those things is that you never know what you're going to get until you dig them up. So today, for sure, I know I need to harvest my garlic, some of my potatoes, and certainly my green onions. So let me tell you a little bit about the veggies that I'm going to be harvesting today so you can get an idea of when I started growing those and a little bit about them. So first, of course, is garlic. I have been growing garlic now. This is my 3rd year, and wow, I will never not grow garlic in my garden. If you love to cook like I do and you're a gardener and you're not growing garlic, you need to do it. Watch my playlist on garlic growing. It has all the details of how you start to grow it, when to plant it, how to take care of it, when to harvest it, how to dry the garlic out, and how to store them and how to use them in your cooking. Everything you want to know about garlic growing and harvesting and taking care of those is in a playlist. So I'll make sure I put that in the link below in the description. So this garlic was planted last October. We are now in the first few days of July, so that's how long it takes to form one clove into a nice, beautiful bulb. I can't tell you exactly the variety of garlic, but there's all kinds of great varieties of garlic out there. So you want to talk to gardeners or your nurseries in wherever you live and are trying to grow garlic. Find out what varieties do best in your particular area. So that's first on the list, getting that garlic out of the ground. And then we're going to take a look at my potato harvest. This year I tried growing 2 different types of potatoes, and I think today the red Norland is most looking ready, and I'll show you how you know when it's time to pull up your potatoes. So the red Norland, it says, I think it takes about 70 to 90 days before it's ready to harvest. And actually I did some calculations yesterday from when I planted those starts in the ground, those potato starts, and it has been 85 days. So right down there in the middle. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how they're going to look. Now, I also grew some Kennebec, and I'll show you that in a minute. That's a yellow potato. I don't think they're ready yet, and you'll see why. Number one, they haven't been in the ground long enough, and number two, we're going to look at some signs of the leaves to let us know that they're not quite ready to harvest. I've got a bunch of scallions or green onions that I have to harvest. I've been harvesting on them quite a long time. I'm going to just harvest all of them. They're rather large, but they're perfect for cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all those today. And who knows, once we get out there, I'm sure I will see some other things that I want to take in the house and use in my cooking. So I think that's enough basics about what I'm growing, what we're going to harvest today, and let's get to it. All right, it's about time for us to get in that garden and see what's under the soil. But before we do, I just wanted to show you I'm going to be pulling my little sled in there because that garlic that I'm going to be harvesting, and I think I've got about 40 or more to harvest. I need somewhere to put all those, so I'm going to put them in the sled, but I don't need much for this job. I'm going to take in this little tiny shovel, a trowel, my pruners, and some gloves, and that's really all there is to it. So time for me to grab my sled and let's get in here and see what we can find under the soil. One thing I really love about my garden is that early in the morning, it is shaded. You can see the trees right there. And if you can see right there, that's where the sun is. So it's shaded until probably about, I'd say, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So that makes morning gardening the time to work in the middle of summer. Okay, let's come in here. So in this raised bed, I have my dahlias in the middle, but today we are going to harvest garlic, and let's get in here really close so I can show you. When you're going to know is when most of the foliage of your garlic is brown, brown, brown. So you can see the tops are still green, but gosh, several sets of leaves all the way up are brown and crusty, and so that means it is time to pull back the straw mulch that I love to use and to carefully get in here and see what we can discover. So let me grab my gloves and we're going to get after it. So I pulled the camera in nice and close so you can see me do a little close-up of the harvest. And of course, it's in my raised beds on drip irrigation. And one of the recommendations before you harvest garlic is that you cut off the water to your bed for 2 or 3 days. And actually, I did that for a couple of days, and so the soil is pretty dry. And the reason why they recommend you do that is just so when you're harvesting, your bulb isn't really wet, and I'm going to need to dry or cure my bulbs anyhow. So I am going to now, though, turn this emitter on because I've got dahlias in here and they love water. So the drip is back on for the dahlias. So anyways, I'm going to first start with my little hand trowel and see if that'll do the job. Oh my, this is so easy. Look at that. Wow. All right. That is a nice looking bulb of garlic. Okay. So I don't know how many I have in this bed. I think I have about 40, 45 plants. So I will back the camera up and just get after this. This is going to be a super simple job. So that was such an easy harvest. You saw me, I switched from my trowel to just seeing, well, if I just tug gently, can I pull them out? And they came right out of the ground. And I think the reason why this year they pulled right out of the soil was because I cut off the water, as they recommend, 2 or 3 days before harvest to let the soil dry out a little bit and let the bulb dry out a little bit. And yeah, I think that was the difference from last year. I really had to dig them. This year, not so much. And being dry, the soil dry, it was really easy to shake off the excess dirt. The really cool thing about growing garlic is once you buy the garlic cloves from a reputable source, don't go to the grocery store and try to grow that garlic. That's not this kind of garlic. But anyways, once you buy your garlic the first time and grow it, you never have to buy it again unless you want to try a different variety. Because what I'll be doing is after these cure for 2 to 3 weeks, and I'll show you a little bit later, I'm going to lay them out on a rack that my husband built for drying. After they cure and I go to store them, then when I come back here, probably be a different bed, but I'll come back out this October and I'll plant more cloves again. And I'm going to use cloves from the biggest bulbs for next year. If you like to cook, oh my goodness, you must try garlic. All right, pretty good harvest. Got a sled full of garlic that's going to need to be cured for 2 or 3 weeks, and I am left with my dahlia bed. But you all know, if you followed my channel, that I will be putting something in where the garlic was pretty soon, and I'm not sure. I haven't made a decision on what it is that I'm gonna plant in there. If you guys have suggestions, I'd love for you to leave a comment below and let me know what I can grow around the edges where I just pulled out all that garlic. So, okay, we're going to move over to another hidden crop in this tall raised bed, and these would be my potatoes. And, of course, some gomphrena. Love to mix veggies and flowers. So let's take a look. I think I'm going to come around this side, and let me show you why it's time to harvest my red Norland potatoes. Let me move my flowers out of the way. Well, here is your sign. When your when your potato plants start to wither up and die, then that is an indicator that your potatoes most likely are ready for harvest. And one of the ways you can do that is you can just pull the soil back and see what you've got. And look, there's a little red Norland. Okay, so as I mentioned, the Kennebec, which is a white potato, you can see the difference between these two potato plants and these two. These still have, even though they're starting to wither up, these two plants here still have plenty of green. And knowing how long they take till harvest, I know that they're going to stay in the ground at least another 2 or 3 weeks, probably 2 weeks before I harvest. So I want to see what we can find under here. So let me get my trowel and my gloves and let's do some digging. All right, let's see what we discover under the soil. And as I mentioned, these are red Norlands that I'm going to be harvesting. And the package of the seeds said it takes 70 to 90 days. And I mentioned earlier, it's the 85th day since I planted them. And of course, we already unveiled one little potato right there. So I'm going to stick these little potatoes down in this basket and get the basket out of the way so you all can see. I can use a trowel. Also, I've seen people just gently lift up. Oh yeah. Just lift up. Look at this little tiny one. I'm going to take it. They are so cute. So I'm seeing different sizes. So I suppose what I've read is if you just leave them in the ground for a long, long time, you will most likely have bigger potatoes. But I am discovering underneath, I need to keep digging. I'm not going to use my trowel because I don't, unless I really need to, because I don't want to accidentally pierce a potato. But look, that's a pretty nice potato. Now here's the thing. I've not grown potatoes much, so I'm learning, but their general recommendation is to not wash them right away. Leave this, leave the dirt on there. It acts as a protection, and unless I'm going to cook them tonight, which I actually may cook the little ones tonight with dinner, but if I want to save these, I need to get them in a cool, dark place and let them sort of air dry and dry out and form a protective coating if I want to store them for any length of time. So let's see what else we can discover under here. Ooh, there's one that's rotten. There's another one. My goodness. Let me try to lift this one up. Okay. These will go in the compost bin. I think I read that, I believe I'm correct, potato leaves and stems and all that are toxic. So you don't want to feed these to your critters. That's what I understand. If I'm wrong, let me know, you guys, but that's what I read. So I thought, oh, I better mention that. Let's pull this up, and here's a nice little weed. All right, let's see what's under the surface of the soil. Let's see if I've got any potatoes in this area. And I do. Ah, look at this one. I don't know what we're going to call that one, but that's pretty funny. There's another one. Oh, yeah, that's a decent sized one. There's one. Here's a little wee baby one. This is fun. Oh my gosh. Oh, whoa. Way down in here. Oh my goodness. This is the biggest one yet. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys. There's more. Can you tell I'm new at potato gardening? Oh my gosh. Oh, here's one. Ooh, that's a nice one. Oh my goodness. I didn't expect to get this many potatoes. All right, well, I'm going to keep digging and see what else I discover. Well, I'd say my first harvest of red Norland potatoes was a success. I've got some pretty big ones and some smaller ones. I think that's an amazing harvest for my first time growing this variety. These new birdies raised beds, these tall ones, have new, fresh, fluffy soil. And you know, any kind of a root crop like garlic, like potatoes or onions, things like that, carrots, they need nice, lofty, loose soil to form up. And so, yeah, I'd say growing these in a raised bed has worked great for me. I know lots of you out there like to grow your potatoes in bags so that when it's harvest time, you just dump the bag over and dig through. I think I found most of them, but what I did uncover as I was digging was some of my Kennebec, the little yellow ones. And as you know, I don't want to harvest those yet. I want them to stay in the soil. So it's very important that they're not exposed to sunlight. So I'm going to make sure I cover up that potato that I uncovered with extra soil so that they can continue to grow. So I'd say I'll come back in a couple weeks and I will see how these are looking. And when these leaves and the stems look really brown and dried up, then that'll be my indication that it's time to harvest my white potatoes. So last on the to-do list is to pull the scallions. And I've got 2 rows of scallions, and I've been harvesting them off and on for, gosh, at least a month or more now. And they are getting enormous. So I need to get them out of this bed. I've got carrots behind them, some marigolds, and then on this end, I have leeks. And leeks you want to leave in for a long time because you want their stems to get really thick. And in fact, I'm going to hill up some more dirt around those later. But right now, my job is to pull the rest of these onions. I brought my pruners out here because I'm going to actually snip off a lot of this. Here, let me just show you what I'm talking about. So this is, you know, pretty big. And so I'm going to cut off a lot of the top and a little bit of the roots before I take them in the house. So that's my next and last project. So I'll just set the camera up and show you how I do that. So when you let your green onions go, as long as I have, they're perfectly fine to eat. Probably I would use these mostly in cooking. So what I'm going to do with my pruners here is I'm just going to snip off a little bit of the roots. I'm going to actually leave some of the roots, and that's because actually when I take them inside the house, I am going to do something that will keep them fresh for 2 to 3 weeks in your refrigerator. And what I'll be doing is I'm going to take a tall, probably a big glass. I have some big glasses that are wide and tall. I'm going to fill it with water on the bottom, and I'm going to put these down, root side down, into the water. And you can store them like that in your fridge for 2 or 3 weeks and they'll stay good. So that's what I'm going to try to do because I'm going to be harvesting so many today. So that's what I'm after. Pull, trim, throw that in my tub for the compost pile, and I'll toss the harvested one in my scooter. So that's really all there is to it. That's it. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today as I got to harvest a lot of garlic, green onions, and some red Norland potatoes. My sled is full, so that means that my harvest is done for today. The next step for me will be to take my garlic and put it on a screen where it's going to sit and dry out. You really want to dry out your garlic, and it'll sit on a screen in my garage with a fan blowing on it for 2 to 3 weeks before I cut it and prep it for long-term storage. The green onions, I talked to you about how I'm going to put them actually in some water inside the fridge, and they should last 2 to 3 weeks that way. And then some of the potatoes I'm going to be cooking tonight. I think we're going to barbecue some chicken, so I think potatoes on the side would be wonderful. And I probably won't cure my potatoes because it was a small harvest, but we'll see how they do in my pantry over the next couple of weeks. So anyhow, I think that's going to do it for today. Until next time, I wish everybody happy gardening.